people as well. Jacob, I love all the engagement, brother. Been seeing your name pop up. How are you?
Appreciate it. Good. How are you?
Doing very well. Doing very well, guys. I'm so excited for today. Dom, welcome back. Peggy, welcome back. Liliana, Moise, got some people coming in. Uh, Jacob, what was one takeaway you had from yesterday?
Um, One of the big things was getting into the flow state. My last job, I felt like it wasn't something that I truly believed in that I was selling. So my main goal was just that the money at the end of it, instead of the helping factor. Of course, I wanted to help them, but it became very obvious that it was just like, you know, I need to get my goals, my priorities, shifted and more focus on the process and have fun with it.
Right.
So that really stood out to me yesterday.
I love that, man. Yeah, yeah. It's things are a lot easier when you're in a good energetic state, right? You're happier, you're having more fun. Dom, welcome back. Recognize your name. Thanks for all the engagement yesterday. What was maybe one of your takeaways from yesterday as we're waiting for more people to come in?
All right. Sorry for the background noise. I'm at a coffee shop right now. But my
Can't hear it
biggest
at all.
takeaway from yesterday was just disconnecting from the result or the goal and just get more attached to the process and just making sure
Totally.
that, I did write down like my question for myself was, what would the spark in someone's eye mean to me, knowing that they're going to get closer to their goal? So that's kind of like my biggest question that I asked myself, and that's what my biggest takeaway from yesterday.
Awesome. Awesome. I love that. Yeah. And we've got the man here. Eli, welcome, brother.
What's up, buddy? Nice to see you.
Good to see you too. We've got some people trickling in. We've got some faces up there. Ashton, Tawana, Bryce, Duran, Santino.
What's up,
What's
Scott
going
Goss?
on? Yeah. Oh,
Going
know
on?
some people in here. I love it.
Yeah, my first roommate working for Tony Robbins.
Oh, how about that? How
Yeah,
about
we
that?
live together. Yeah,
Just talking about how it's a small world.
it
Well,
is.
y'all, we've got Eli here for a short time. I hope you guys all enjoyed yesterday with Jamil. It was a good baseline into what we're going to be moving through the rest of the week. Like we talked about, right? We are the common denominator. If we can get into that peak performance, that flow state, everything else becomes a lot easier. And who we have here today, I'm so excited to share with you guys. If you aren't familiar with Eli and you're in the world of sales, that won't be long because his brand is about to grow much bigger than it is, but his results and the quality of his work and the way he's impacted people is definitely has a huge reach. Many people that you guys probably learn from, guys like Jeremy Miner and many other guys like that. He was Tony Robbins' top coach, top trainer. He is a master of communication, master of NLP. Are you guys familiar with NLP? Show me by a show of hands. I know there's people here who aren't on camera and aren't necessarily panelists, but yeah, we got some hands. So he's gonna drop some fire for us. We're just gonna have a casual conversation. And like we mentioned yesterday, today is all about the F part of flow selling, which is laying the foundation. So we're gonna talk about how to lay the foundation for a smooth call, possibly prevent objections instead of having to handle a bunch of objections, and some other cool tips and tricks that Eli might have for us in terms of communicating effectively and beyond just always the words that we're saying. Fair enough,
Mhm.
Eli?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. Awesome. Cool, y'all. Well, if you guys are ready to get started, drop ready in the chat. Brandon Clark, good to see you. Bethany, good to see you. Sean, good to see you. We got some readies. Let's go. Amazing. All right. All right. Well, Eli, like we talked about, we've chatted a little bit. The foundation is super important for a sales conversation. It can, screw you from the end of the call because you didn't do certain things. You know, if you don't go through part of the pre-call process and, you know, connecting and building trust and establishing the relationship, then, you know, you're setting yourself up not necessarily for the best success, the smoothest of calls. So I guess, first of all, before we dive in, is there anything you want to say, broad topics, anything you want to touch on real quick based off of what I said?
No, I mean, I got a lot of ways that we can go into this. So yeah, I'll let
Cool.
you steer the ship and I'll get into it.
Cool. Eli knows how to flow, basically, is what he's saying. Very good. So, I guess, you know, talk to us just a little about how NLP, how the nonverbal side of communication and the nonverbal side of sales, how much does that play a role? Where does it, where is the line? Where should people be focusing their time and energy if they truly want to be top performers in sales?
You know, and I love this whole concept of flow, the foundation, you know, being who you are. And, you know, it's interesting. Scott's here, my first roommate working for Tony Robbins. We would watch each other present. And at the end of the day, you know, we do good, we do bad, whatever. But the question was always, well, would I have bought? And sometimes it was yes, sometimes it was a no. And you have like maybe a disengaged audience or a tough audience. And sometimes you get into that apathy or, you know, self-reflection or even blame. I didn't get the good meeting or didn't get the good prospect. But my thought was always this, and the standard was, could Tony Robbins have closed that person? And then it was like, duh. And then, you know, what was he doing in that communication when he sold me, you know, when he sold Scott, when he sold bajillions of people, like what's happening beyond the words that creates that energy and that connection? And there's 4 things I'll dig into, but I think that, you know, we're often taught, and this is true, that people buy based on emotion. And so rather than logic, you need to have the logical justification, but the emotional state that somebody's in. And of course, there's the state, and we're going to unpack that, because a state, like a recipe, there's buying states and there's non-buying states. And we pull apart any state, understand that all decisions are state dependent. So the outcome of your communication, the questions you're asking, the reframes, everything you're doing, how you show up, your presence is to put somebody at ease, to feel certain, to feel safe, to basically induce a state of trust and responsiveness so they feel comfortable being led by you. And so state management is really important for understanding the state you need to put them in. But what happens in this communication where they say something, they're short, they're abrasive, they're not going deep. And so sometimes you'll see in this state of the influencer, the state of the salesperson, the state of the communicator, where they start talking fast, they get aggressive, they get angry, they get stared. And there's a tightness that you can begin to see where they go inside their head, or they disengage, or they start to become almost apathetic, where they lose the frame, you know, and so it's called frames in NLP. They'll lose that frame and they'll become the content in somebody else's context, and they don't know how to take that frame back, not in a forceful way. So just as important as you putting somebody in the emotional state, knowing that they buy based on emotion, not logic, you need to be in the right emotional state. And that's easy to say and do in a vacuum, but what about in real life? And, you know, I've trained thousands of salespeople at this point. When I partnered with Taylor Welch and we had the sales mentor program, we had about 2,500 people a month going through my course. And a lot of them were beginner. The industry was pretty new then. But it was a lot of them where their outcome was to be a good script reader, ask a good question, maybe have a few canned rebuttal objection handlers, but they weren't focused on why they were saying what they were saying, because you could ask a really great question and not get a good response. And so they read the person, not the script. And the 4 things I want to dig into as we start to unpack this is prepare yourself mentally and emotionally. And this is straight from Tony Robbins, like coaching me, coaching Scott. There's 4 things that you really need to have dialed.
Hope you guys are taking notes. I've already got notes here. There's some gold in here. Hope you guys are ready for this.
I'm going to fire hose you guys with a little bit really quick, but I'm going to break it down, make it tight and concise so you have some takeaways. But, and this is what he said to me, you know, years ago, Scott, you were there. It was like that training that he did on influence, San Diego, 2010. It was life-changing for me. He went into so much around postures, and I'll get into some of this, but there's 4 things that you need to do before an internal thing, as far as your foundation, your state, your flow, before you ever even connect with the prospect. The first thing are your beliefs. What do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about this call? What do you believe about this person? What do you believe about this presentation? And those beliefs Like, you don't want to be needy, but why is what I'm selling, like, why is what I have so important? Where you believe that if somebody gets this and they move forward on this, their life could improve massively. But if they don't get this, their life could be destroyed. And I can't tell you, like, people say to me all the time that they got like resistant buyers. When Scott and I were doing these presentations, we were salespeople selling salespeople who knew we were there to sell that did not want to be sold. So we never had like a warm audience. They were always super resistant. But my
Yeah.
mantra was always, my certainty is so strong, it overcomes their doubt. Because I always had an audience full of people that were doubting me, didn't want to be there, or we'd be talking to a real estate company. The top producers with money are out there producing. We're getting the people that are showing up for bagels and coffee and, you know, free donuts, the people that are not producing. And so these were the most resistant people. So that's all that we had to work with. But I knew that they got an experience of me and how I connect, or how I challenge somebody, or I was humorous. There was a state there that made them start to lean in a little bit. Where, and I'll get into some of the framing and things that I could do in the moment to pull them out of their mental script. Because when you get on a call with somebody, right in those first few seconds, hey, where are you from? You know, how's the weather there? It triggers a script inside their mind. Oh, I'm on a sales call. This is a salesperson. They're trying to get rapport with me. Just like when you walk down the street and a homeless person asks you, hey, where are you from? That's a really pretty shirt. This person just wants money. And a lot of people, salespeople, are beggars. They're trying to get rapport. They're trying to get something. And it's a transactional conversation, and it feels different. So you need to be unique there from the start. But the first four things that I focused on are: one, what are my beliefs? And again, when two people meet, the person that is more certain will influence the other person. So my belief system needed to be stronger. I remember when a few years ago, I did an event with Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street. And I was like so hungry. I was so ready for this thing. And I knew I'd be selling against the Wolf of Wall Street. Right before I went out on stage, somebody asked me, they said, Eli, are you nervous? I thought for a second and I said, nervous? There was 1,200 people in the room. I said, if anybody's nervous, it should be all of them. I'm the only one that knows what's going to happen. I'm the only one. I'm the last person that should be nervous, because I was so prepared and I was so certain and I was so hungry. And I was like, let's go. They should be nervous. And so I had this like excitement, but because I knew, not just excitement for me that I'm getting to do this, excitement because I was really engaged in the outcome of what it's going to mean to these people. And if they were really to get this, how their life could be opened up by understanding the realm of communication with others and within themselves when things aren't going well. And so the belief that you have about people, about why you're there, and even if somebody like might be resistant, I would walk into a room and oftentimes there'd be that look on somebody's face, like you've all experienced in Zoom, where they're like, I don't really need to be here, or I don't need to hear what this person has to say. And when I would see that energy, I would think to myself, wow, this person really needs to hear what I have to say. But I was certain, playful, I was warm. And so I had the belief system. The second thing I had was a good physiology. And I'm sure you talk about this a lot. To be in a physiology, and this is a NLP concept, to be in a physiology and psychology of excellence. And we talk so much about the mindset. Your mindset has got to be there, but what's more powerful, the body or the mind? The body actually influences the mind. It's an 80-20. Your body affects your mind more than your mind affects your body. Like if you
we talk about the flow state being a chemical concoction. It's just a certain set of phenomenological activities that are taking place. Totally.
Yeah. If you get into an accident and your brain dies, you go into a coma, you still live. But if your body dies, if your heart dies, you die. And so it's an 80-20. And so, even when I'd see Tony Robbins stand, there was like his breath, his voice, and you can hear it. And we're all passing through communication, and it moves so fast, where I might ask you something about, hey, do you want to move forward? And you might have an objection. And I could teach somebody the perfect linguistic response on how to handle that exact objection, whether it's spouse or money or whatever, and they might not get the same outcome. Two people can say the same thing, make the same offer, read the same script, but get a very different response. That's why in every company, there's top performers, middle, bottom, all of that, because there's an energy there. And so what happens when we receive information when we filter it into our ears and through our eyes, it goes through our nervous system. And what happens is they might know what to say, but they pass it through a filter of, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. They start focusing, asking themselves disempowering questions like, am I going to pay my rent? Did I just waste 45 minutes? They make it mean something disempowering, like, I shouldn't be in sales. God is punishing me. I suck. I'm worthless. And then, because it happens so quick, now they say the words with tension and fear and frustration in the voice. And the prospect, therefore, doesn't respond to the objection handler or the words. They respond to the emotion, the energy in motion. And so to make sure whether somebody's saying, and this is an exercise, I did my third event with Alex Ramosi last week, and I have people turn to each other and say, no, fuck you, and then they're laughing. So they're being rejected, but they're changing the unconscious response to being rejected to feel good about it, to change that. And it's one thing to have is like a Instagram soundbite meme, don't give a fuck and people don't care, but to have it in your nervous system where really, like, because you have these beliefs. So the beliefs are first, and then making sure your mind and body and your energy are there, because as you're asking these questions or handling an objection, they're going to hear that frustration or fear or scaredness in the voice or the crack or whatever it is. And then you're chasing, or you start leaning in, or start being like really angry, like fucking step up, bro, or whatever, maybe not that linguistically, but it's an energy there that will make somebody no longer feel safe, or they makes them feel pressured. So how do we leave that? That starts in the physiology. Third thing is outcome that Tony went into. And of course, and early on in my sales career, of course, like many of you, my outcome was to get a sale. But if your only outcome is to get a sale, people feel it. They smell the commission breath, and they start to give you short responses. They don't go deep in their responses. They give you surface level answers because they're scared, and they might not even be conscious of it. They don't feel safe enough to give you the deep, honest answer and we teach there's surface level, action level, identity level, where we're having not a transactional conversation, but a deeper identity transformation-based conversation. And transformation works like this. And we've all had transformation in our life. It's the whole Tony Robbins pain pleasure thing. It's where somebody changes their association to what something means. A great example is somebody in your life, like, was your best friend. You heard their name, positive association. Oh my God, Susie, she's my best friend. But then you have an experience with Susie called lying, cheating, stealing. Something bad happens in the relationship, how you relate to that person. Now you hear the same stimulus, name is Susie, but now you make it mean something where you feel different. Because of that experience, you feel anger, frustration, sadness, regret. Same stimulus, different response. And so what we're doing through communication at this deeper level, getting somebody to change the meaning of investing, or to really step into a different identity for who they get to be for their spouse, where they're not asking for permission, they're asking for support because they're committed to this, or who they get to be as a mother. It's not just losing weight. It's not losing weight to play with your kids, action level. It's losing weight to be a role model that you didn't have so that your kids can do something. So now it's about being a better mother or better father. This is an identity level conversation, which is much deeper. And so we want to be able to get to that level, but they're not going to open up with you unless they feel safe. What's the first thing you need to do to make them feel safe? Is you need to feel safe. Is to remind yourself everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And when my outcome was just to get a sale, people could feel that. But then I got smart somewhere, maybe after like 10 years of doing this, I started to get smart and look at some of the patterns with myself and other people as I interview them and say, what made you buy from me? What made you not buy from me? And I got great data. And I realized that all actions are preceded by thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. And so, of course, I wanted people to act, but I didn't say, hey, step up, take action, bro. I wrote down, I said, if I get them thinking this and feeling this and believing this, they're going to buy. And if they don't buy, it's because they're thinking this, feeling this, or believing this. And so the target of my communication, my outcome was an emotional one, was a belief-based. And we teach this, we call it the trust trinity. It's where we get people to trust in you, trust in the process. And those are the first two. But the bigger one, and what Tony Robbins, I think, is the best at, and where I pulled a lot of this from, is getting people to trust in themselves. The sweet spot of the conversation is where they believe that it's possible, but they only believe that it's possible through you. Because you can have people that are what we call an inferior state of mind, where they say, oh, this person can do it, but I never could. And then you have people in a superior mindset where they believe they can do it, but they don't need you. So the sweet spot is where they believe that it's possible, but they believe that it's only possible for you. For inferior people, you need to pump up their confidence. For superior people, you kind of need to take it down or show them how they can get there better, faster, easier, bigger with your proven system. So they have different needs, but we want to be able to feel that out, to put them in that buying pocket or that buying state, because not all conversations are the same. People, you're not going to close a 19-year-old kid trying to close his first 5K deal the same way you're going to close a 60-year-old man, or Alex Hormozy, who just became, his company became a client of ours today. There's a different level of conversation. And so, you got to find out, you got to do that discovery. But if you're just asking an interrogative question, not having a discussion, they're again going to close down. So, and I'll go through these ways. There's belief, there's physiology, and then there's outcome. And the fourth one that Tony really went deep into, and these are the four things I dig into a lot, is rapport. And rapport doesn't happen in the first 2, 3, 4, and 5 minutes of the call. For you, it needs to happen before the call. What I respect about this person, what do I appreciate about this person, what do I love about this person? I've even had people, back in the day, sales presentation where somebody was quite mean to me, and said something mean. I was like, whoa, that takes some fucking balls. I can appreciate that. But also, I've done this like 1,000 times, and so there's not too much I haven't heard. And so I was like, I would give that person some space, and they would be able to tell about my physiology, how I asked a question, how I wasn't rattled, and they'd kind of get a sense of like, I better not fuck with this person.
Powerful.
And I love that quote from, I think it's Jordan Peterson. He says, like this quote, I know it. It's something about like being dangerous. Like a good man is not a wussy
dangerous
man
and still wield it. The ability to
control.
That's right.
Like, I think linguistically or with your state or whatever, and whether it's like doing some jujitsu in the morning or boxing or something like this, like just getting this sense of state, like don't fuck with me, but never flex that muscle. Yeah. It's a sense of safety within yourself to know that you could do something, but you don't. And then there's a smile when you hear that.
And that's attractive. People are drawn to that.
Yeah.
Love it.
Those are the things that are beneath the surface that you need to have that changes somebody's experience of you. And if they don't have a good experience of you, that has nothing to do with you. And I always say this, I see most salespeople or business people or just people as almost like a cup. And there's two ways that we can live our life. One is inside out, the other is outside in. And so most people, they're a cup that's a little bit empty, and they're looking from the outside world for validation, for approval. They're looking for a yes because they're a little empty. They're living outside in, trying to get something. But when somebody's living inside out, their cup's overflowing. You could say they're full of themselves, but not egotistically. They're full of confidence, full of love, full of compassion, full of service, full of belief, full of integrity. They're full. They fill themselves up mentally and emotionally with certainty, with love, with purpose, with dedication to what it is. And when I do a presentation, somebody could come up to me and say, Eli, that was like the worst piece of shit in the world. I hate you. They're trying to put something nasty in my cup, but it's already overflowing. So there's nothing that can get in here. And I know that it doesn't say anything about me. And because of that, I can be with their response. And often my non-judgment, my appreciation, my compassion for their response will help alleviate that response. Because as Mother Teresa said, all communication is a loving response or a cry for help. And if it's not a loving response, I know it's a cry for help. And sometimes that might require me to put somebody in their place, but a lot of times just to listen or to be playful or to say something off the wall to kind of break their state a little bit. And that's going to alleviate it more than anything. It's the state, it's the presence, it's the kindness, the sincerity, and people get an experience of how I'm being despite being attacked. And so on the flip side, if somebody says to me, Eli, that was the best thing ever, I also know that means nothing to me about me. I appreciate them for what they say, but I can't be there for their validation. Otherwise, I'm useless as a person of influence. I've got to have a strong direction in my outcome for where I'm taking myself, where I'm taking this call, where I'm taking my business, where I'm taking the world, where I'm taking this room, like where we're going. And that's what it means to be a leader, to be able to lead yourself and then lead other people. And You know, Scott can probably attest to this. Like when I saw Tony Robbins for the first time, if this dude had said jump, I was like, and he did say jump. I was like, how high? You know, just, you know, it was just like, it was the way that he moved and the way that I felt he cared. And I just bought in. Like we drank the Kool-Aid. We worked with him for like, you know, for over a decade, well over a decade. And there's a lot of people in this space that I think are really good at what they do. They're good marketers, maybe even good salespeople. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I don't know how I'd feel about being led by that person.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I think we all need leadership to be leaders, but also we need to have somebody that's like a mentor as a guide. And I think of it so much like this, like if you're in a bad part of town and you see a policeman, you feel a little bit relieved. You're like, oh, someone in authority shows up. And I think of this so much, like how good does it feel to have somebody tell you what to do?
Yeah.
And some people say, no, I don't want anybody to tell me what to do. Some of the most uncertain times in my life where I felt lost, I thank God that I had somebody like a Tony Robbins or, you know, certain people, not anybody in my family, nobody in my family, but I had people in my life that just told me what the fuck to do. And I didn't have to worry anymore. And I did it. And so when I tell somebody they should buy, I'm telling you what to do, but I'm doing it for them. And they feel that I'm doing it for them. And so a lot of times it's not some fancy clothes. I'm like, hey, you should do this. But hey, you should do this.
So good. Guys, if you're resonating with this, and maybe you're in that place, maybe you're looking for that type of support as you're getting into your sales career, looking to get to that next level. If that's you, drop mentor in the chat. Just like Eli was saying, right? We all need to be leaders, but we all need to be led at times as well. If that's you, drop mentor in the chat, and we'll get you some support. But and also, guys, if I know that you guys are taking tons of notes right now, and you probably have a bunch of one-liners that he said. I know I got a couple. As he's going, love to see what you guys are resonating with. What has he said that that stood out to you? Go ahead and drop that in the chat as well. Seeing lots of mentors, love that. I didn't mean to interrupt.
I just want to say one of my mentors is Myron Golden. I don't know if you know him. He's like a biblical African-American, gray beard, very handsome guy, like such an amazing speaker. And he's got all these kind of like sound bites, but he says, be a leader of leaders, not a needer of needers, you know? And there's a lot of that out there. And a lot of people go through life needy in their relationship. And they think that there's going to be some tactic or some tool, but it's their psychology. And you can't lead others unless you're leading yourself. You know, it's integrity, having that congruency. You know, and congruency is an interesting thing. I remember being really young and feeling lost. And I moved to Los Angeles. I'm 23 and I worked at a company, and there was a dude that he's like a billionaire. When he told people to do things, like he had this calm demeanor and he had so much congruency, like he was so powerful, and I wanted to be like him. But around that same time, I met another dude. So this guy's up at 4 a.m, has 2 kids, it makes like $400 million a year. Like he just his company does. And he was really wealthy, and he lived his life in a certain way, and he had power with people. But then I met this other guy who's like doing cocaine every night, banging, just having lots of sex and partying and stuff. But he had equal power. And I was a little bit lost at that young point in my life. I was like, well, how do I need to be? For me, there was it was neither, but the reason they were both so powerful in their realm is they were living true to themselves. And this guy, he believed he should be doing cocaine and banging and partying every night till 6 a.m. And he was living true to himself. And you see somebody that's like a music star or a rock star, and they're so powerful and they get worldwide acclaim, but they're living true to themselves. And I'm not, at this point, I'm 46. I think, hopefully none of you are in the rock star phase of your life. If you are in your early 20s or something, more power to you. Most of those people don't live very long. So you might want to find your middle of the road or something, but it's really just about living true to yourself. And I think a lot of people don't even know what their own values are. And so to be able to fill your cup with what is authentically you. And it's interesting in this political day and age, 2024, there are people that are really strong in movements. And I think most politics divide. I'm all about connection, so I'm not a political person, but it's interesting at any extreme, you know, right, wrong, this or that. All these people create massive followings and they're selling something because they're
Yeah.
indoctrinating people in a belief system, you know, that they believe strongly about and communicate strongly about, whether it's left, right, middle, this, that, trans, whatever it is. It's
Yeah.
just, I look at everything through the filter of how do I take what is working in the realm of influence here? And when I saw Tony Robbins or anybody, I saw what they did from an NLP therapeutic standpoint. My filter was always like, how do I use this in a selling context? How do
Yeah.
I use this to persuade people towards an outcome that mutually serves us and serves them even more to do more of what they want in their life? So that was always the target of where I extracted things, filtered it through, created systems, and got more mentorship, just like you guys are doing,
Yeah.
to get better and better.
Amazing. There's so many things that I want to dive deeper on. I know we don't have you for much longer, but you did talk about the frames, right? The frames that we can use for getting people into the right state, the different states. What are some frames that these sales reps can use in their sales calls, maybe leading up to the call or in the opening of the call, that set them up for a smooth call, build that trust, build that rapport that you're talking about? What are some
Yeah.
tactical things you can do? Yeah.
Sure. And you guys might want to grab your pen, write this down right now, because this is going to be something you use over and over again, and I want to make sure you get it. So right there, I'm starting
know.
to induce a frame. I call this the best interest frame, and I'm going to break down the coaching frame next. But and when I'm speaking to an audience or whatever, I'm creating compliance and I'm creating commitment and consistency. And there's physical compliance, stand up, grab your pen, do something physical. There's verbal compliance, say this with me, you know, I'm committed, say this, you know, I get you saying what I want you to say. And then there's mental compliance. As you begin to think about some of the calls that didn't go so well, maybe you said to yourself, and I'm starting to tell you what to think about. But right there at the beginning of the call, I'm telling you to do something, but I can't just tell you to do something. I frame it in your best interest. Write this down so that you can go back to your notes, because I want to make sure you get it, because this is going to help you a lot. That's also I'm also setting a pre-frame around the conversation, basically saying this is going to be valuable and you're going to get something from this conversation that you're going to take with you. So I'm presupposing you're going to get some value here that you can use in your life, regardless of whether or not you would take the offer. You're going to learn something here on this call. So the call in and of itself is going to be valuable. So there's a lot of presuppositions embedded in that small little thing that I did.
Guys,
also,
you want to increase your show up rate, right? These are things that you can do. Those, not just, hey, our call's at 3 p.m., but hey, here's this asset. Be sure to review that so that benefit to them on the call and things that are important to them. So good,
Yeah.
Eli.
And
Continue.
there's
Go ahead.
linking phrases. So that you just use that one. So
Yep.
so that thing they want, and you know, so that in order to be able to means to you. So write this down so you can go through it later, to be able to really go over your notes so you can actually get good at this, which means you're going to be more proficient, make more sales, and be able to help a lot more people. So that in order to be able to mean to you. So I'm linking people's values or benefits through my language with those key phrases there. And so you're thinking about, linking, but also there's something in NLP called complex equivalence. Guys, just by the fact that you're here means that you're really hungry to learn. It doesn't mean that at all. You could just be on here wasting time picking your nose. But because I said it, but the fact that you're here, you can't deny that, means that you're somebody who really takes this seriously. And because you're taking this seriously, I'm going to pour into you. So I'm starting to create meaning for you, working with, Tony has something called the triad, which is physiology, focus, language, and meaning. We really play along a lot with meaning, because focus, the primary tool for shifting somebody's focus is a question. But whether it's the pre-frame, like showing up for a call or whatever, most salespeople and most people in general are saying good things, but you can tell they don't know why they're saying what they're saying, because you can ask a really great question and maybe not get the perfect response, or maybe get a bad response. So maybe you need to re-ask that question or ask that question in a different way, because the target or the outcome of your sales call is not to ask good questions. You're there to get specific information, and you want that information tied to emotion. But you got to be clear in what are those emotional targets? What are those outcomes? And it's not just to ask them a bunch of questions or interrogate them or even to make a sale. It's to have a deeper level conversation. So there's one right there, is the best interest frame. Another one, and there's a couple of young men that I've mentored quite a bit over the years, and we'll play like kind of these frame games, almost like challenging people, and put each other in frames, pull them apart, stuff like that. And I've done this for a long time, so and they're in their early 20s, but some of them are just so brilliant. And we were playing around with one last night. It's called the coaching frame, and it's basically somebody's like, got to get my credit card, whatever, it's some bullshit something.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, can I coach you right now? It's like, I know that it sounds to me like you maybe want to do this program. Maybe you're a little on the fence. That's totally fine. But I don't think it's fair to you that you have to pay the 10K and then start getting coached. I think it should start right now. Really think of this as your first coaching session. So can I give you some feedback right now?
Oh,
You're saying
amazing.
this. It's fucking 2024. You probably have your credit card on your damn phone. Hey, somebody, or whatever. So I'm gonna basically I frame this around coaching. And if they accept me as their coach and I have rapport, I'm basically going to eloquently move into the call you on your bullshit. And it's framed in their best interest. You've heard this before. How you do anything is how you're doing everything. And I know that if you're not being 100% honest, I'm not saying you're lying. I sense that maybe you're a little uncomfortable and you're looking for an out. Is there any truth to that? Well, I think a good coach is somebody that really holds you to another higher standard. And when we're working together for the next 3, 6, 9 months, there's going to be a lot of things I ask of you that are going to make you uncomfortable. That's a good thing. Just like if I was your trainer at a gym, I'd be constantly putting more demands on you. And so I'm here to support you through that process, just like if we're in the gym, so you to walk away from every workout stronger. Are you open to having one of these mental, emotional workouts right now where I challenge you a little bit, little force reps, so we can go deeper into your muscles so you become stronger for your family, stronger for your business? Are you open to having one of these sessions right now? See what I'm doing?
Yeah, the
So it's all
permission as
framed
well.
and the permission framed in their best interest. So basically, and if I coach somebody long enough and there's enough rapport, like I wouldn't do it, but they would let me yell at them and they would be like, thank you. But I have rapport and they believe that I'm doing it for them, not to them. And I really would. I would rarely ever do that unless somebody like really needed something. But at that point, that we would have so much they would trust me so much. They would want to be led by me and I would truly be doing it in their best interest. So I wouldn't do that to somebody like really, really harsh unless we had a long-term relationship and they would welcome the bejesus out of it. But I know also in this timeline, and not everybody will stay. Some people might not be comfortable with it, but if the trust is there and you have it 100% of the time, they will. And so if they buy into those frames, but again, you have to really care. You have to believe about what you do. They have to sense that you're doing it again for them, not to them. But if you have those frames and you've established those frames early on, even in a short call, people want to be challenged. And that's one of my beliefs. People want to be challenged, but they want to be challenged by somebody who owns their shit. They don't want to be challenged by somebody who's weak. And I always say, don't expect, like, if you're a wussy 23 hours a day and your life's a mess, don't expect you're going to be a badass this 1 hour a day on a sales conversation. Like ask the girl out or ask the boy out, like get the nice restaurant at the table, just like, when they say that they're full, ask again, get rapport, make it like, get in the habit of having positive expectancy for getting your way in a way that also serves other people. Like it's a habit. And I know you talk about flow, but it's like a pattern. It's a habit. I'm in the habit of getting shit done. Like it's a momentum that you have. And when I did the repitch at the Hermosi event last week, pulled in about an extra $1 million. I was one of the last speakers and I come in and I closed the room and I was showing Kale, who took over the company, what I'm doing to create momentum into the end of the presentation. So there's an energy, there's a building, there's an excitement, there's a challenge. And people, I'm essentially hard closing people and they're cheering for me. People are crying. and then I say, stand up right now. Let's go to the back right now. And people just popped. Yeah. I went and I did go about 20 minutes over my presentation because I told some extra stories in the beginning to make sure I had rapport so that I could do that. So I injected the fly extra stories because I didn't have the room yet. And there was
Yeah.
things that I did to get people engaging with each other, touching each other. And I tied the room together as one unit, not a bunch of individuals. And I said,
Yeah.
we, as an organization, we're changing the world. It was a fitness thing. Are there lots of unhealthy people there? It's the people in this room that are going to change things. And it's because of your commitment. And so I was tying them together as a room, as a unit the entire time. And I did some things where people not taking action to the offer would have felt bad. And
Yeah.
there's, bandwagon, social proof, groupthink. I was creating some of that throughout my talk to get people all to move together to the back of the room. Yeah.
Amazing. So many good stuff. One of the things as you're talking about, right, in order to get that positioning to give them that direct coaching, and like you said, there's a bunch of rapport that's done. I kind of talk about this kind of character arc that you get to have when you're in sales. Oftentimes it's just kind of a friend catching up over a beer, getting, and then you kind of move into this concerned peer, then maybe this concerned mentor, then kind of this authority figure. And it feels like that's kind of a little bit of the arc. Could you break that down perhaps?
Yeah. Yeah. Connecting and, almost through the filter, it's like your identity, almost like if you were to be a proud parent talking to one of your children who's proud and there's love, but you're also a little disappointed because this child's not living up to their potential. So that's what's coming through in my tone right now. Like, I care about you, but I've heard you say some things that I don't really even think that's you. I don't know who taught you to think that way. Maybe it was something you heard or an experience you had, but I see other people that I don't think have as much potential as you. And I tell you, they're not having these problems or concerns. And so there's a tonality there. Jeremy Miner, everybody knows him now. They teach tonality, and I think it's important to have good tonality, Jordan, all that, but a curious tone, a strong tone, all that. But what affects your tone is the emotion. It's the emotion certain right now. Like, here's where I'm going to be certain. Here's where I'm going to be curious, and you can be contrived and all of that. And it's going to come across a little robotic, but it's an energy flow. And I know that Scott knows this. I know I mentioned him a couple of times. Scott's amazing. I don't know if he's working with you guys. It's great to see his face here. But when, Tony taught us this, and then Tony took me and a couple other guys to Vegas for like a boys' day. We shot machine guns. We did fight training with the Navy SEALs. We had dinner at this private restaurant under the Wynn Hotel. It was an epic day. It was like life-changing day. And he really wanted me to get this one concept around postures. And so, and this will drive it home for people when I'm talking about with these frames and stuff. There's this energy internal posturing. So there's three main postures. There's more, but the three main ones that have tonality and physiology and archetype all attached to them is one, superior. So I'm talking down right now, like I'm superior, like listen to me. And I think you need to have a piece of that. But some salespeople stay in one note, and there's certain people from stage like fucking, step up and all that bro stuff. Right. In order to buy into the fact that you are superior, they need to unconsciously admit that they are inferior to you. And you're going to get a lot of needers, a lot of followers, but again, be a leader of leaders, not a needer of needers. And so you want to make sure that you've got a little bit of that. And then also I spend most of my time, so that posture number one is superior. Posture number two is equal. And I spend 80% of my time talking as a friend. And then the third posture is inferior. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm talking to you. Like, wow, I looked at your application. You're so successful. Man, it must be really cool. I'm inferior. And so I often ask audiences, which one's the best? None of them, but to use all of them. And so if you just say one note, purely superior, talking down to people, some people do it and I know they're successful, but it's not the best. Equal, I spend most of my time there, but if you're only equal, hey, this person's my friend. Hey, can you give me a discount? Hey, can I just sign up later? Because we're friends. Don't get caught in the friend zone. And then inferior, where you're like a wuss. Don't stay there. Yeah. How to use all three. Listen. So I just said listen as a pattern interrupt, almost in a tone of voice like shut the F up. And so somebody's rambling, listen, Bob. The great thing about what you're saying is, and I respect this so much, I mean, you now inferior. And I think you're a lot like me. I mean, here we are, we're on this call. We want to do things with our lives, with our businesses. We want to change a lot, but something has to change, doesn't it? So I went superior, inferior, equal, equal, and then I went back to superior. And so I'm changing the posture, and people say, well, what's the process or the script? Nothing, reading the person. And if I'm
Do you
talking
hear
to a bunch
that? Do you hear that? Say that all the time, Eli. I love
of,
that.
and it's, if I'm talking to a bunch of 19-year-olds that are like big Eli fans or whatever, and I'm gonna, and I want them to do something, I'm gonna bring a little bit more of that. But I've got a bunch of like 50, 60-year-old deca millionaires. I'm not gonna go in there, my big swinging balls. Do you know who I am? It's like, and I've done all these things, talking down to them. I'm gonna lose them. And so I've got to meet them where they are. And I'm gonna connect as a friend. And I love this. The guy that originally taught me NLP, Scott knows him, Steve Linder, he said, there are no strangers, only friends you haven't met yet. That's just a friend I haven't met yet. And so, here we are connecting, but I know at some point it serves that person to challenge them a bit, or they might be insecure about something, or they think they've got this big thing called taxes for some of you that are happening right now, or this big thing. And so, man, it's inferior where I got to make them feel more confident. So I'm doing a lot of this, my tonality and all of that, but the tone or the challenge or the connection or the, wow, it's like, I really admire you. You'd be surprised how many people just give up. Like, it's not like you said you've joined 2 courses and they absolutely sucked. And I'm really sorry that happened, first of all, but I mean, you're here now. So that says a lot to me about you. I really respect it. It says like, you're still looking for answers. You'd be surprised how many people give up, but not you, because of the fact that you're here. Have you always been that way? Or is that something you developed over time? So that's a binary question there. Have you always been that way? Or is that something you developed over time? And so either way, either response puts them more into a positive label. I label their identity as somebody who never gives up. If they buy into the identity, the positive label attached to their identity that they never give up, and they're not like one of those fuckers who always gives up, you'd be surprised how many people give up. And I'm not saying those people are weak, but I can tell that's not you. Why? Because you're here. Have you always been that way? And so whatever he says, he's going to give a response. Now he's accepting the label that he does not give up. This is a micro commitment getting him to buy, because people that buy are not the people that give up. If I let him sink into that, well, I've tried everything and nothing's works, and he's just going to give up, that's going to be his unconscious emotional out. And so there's hundreds of little micro things that happen in that, but this is all framing and understanding. So I don't have a script here, obviously, but these are things that I've said a bajillion times.
Yes. And you see that he's internalized it, he's become it, and out of those beliefs, those thoughts, the actions start taking. Eli, it's been so great. I got more than what I bargained for here with your time. So everybody say thank you to Eli for the value that he dropped here. Give him a big thank you in the chat. If you're open for it for maybe 2 or 3 more minutes, if anybody has any questions for Eli based off of stuff he said, go ahead and drop those in the chat. I'll see them pop up.
Give it to me. You can tell I obviously love this stuff. So yeah, let's go.
Yeah. No, we love it too. And obviously people take time out of the middle of their day to come and be here with you. So yeah, kudos to everybody for taking that action.
They're committed and they clearly want more flow in their life. That's what
right.
I'm thinking. A lot of people out there, they don't even show up. They show up day 1 and then they miss out on day 2, but not you guys. Starting to use that label of people that commit all the way through. You want them into that label.
Are you guys those people that commit all the way through? If you are, drop a commit in the chat for Eli to see. If you think you follow through, if you're one of those people that commit and follow through, drop a commit in the chat. Love to see it, guys. Got a couple questions popping in here. How do you build rapport before the sales call? Touched on a few of those things, but maybe you got a couple extra.
Just for one, tactically, you should go to the person's Facebook profile, like see what they're interested in, and it might not even come up, but just by the fact that you did it, like you care. Like, who is this person? And for me, it's an energy thing more than anything. And I realized a long time ago, I'm going to be spending like 60 hours a week of my life talking to strangers, just like you, who are friends I haven't met yet. And so it's somewhat selfish, because I want to care about what I do with my life. Like my time is so valuable. And like, I want to spend as much time as I can with people that I love. And like my dad passed away a couple of years ago. My mom's not doing well. And so the people that show up in my life, God put them there. Like, I'm going to love on you anyway. Like, you don't have to love me, but I want to love the people I spend time with. Like, so it's somewhat selfish. And so I'm just going to force some love on you. And so I'm going to connect with you. And I'm going to spend like 60 hours a week for the rest of my life in stadiums or, you know, on calls or doing group talks like this. I want to care about people. Like, and there's one thing, make people feel that you care so you can sell them. Like, I'm just going to care about you because I want to care about where I spend my time in my life. So it's completely selfish of me that I'm going to love on you because I want to care about what I say. I want to care about what I do. I want to care about how I spend my time. And I know, like, I'm never going to get this time back. And so it's already super valuable to me. And I think just when somebody shows up in that state that they care about themselves and how they spend time, there's a standard through which you live your life that is infectious. And it's like each moment of life is a big deal. And that belief gets transferred that this conversation is a big deal. You're a big deal. You need to take your life, your business, your health more seriously. This is a BFD, big freaking deal. And I think some of that gets communicated because it's real. And people, you know, the law report is based in trust and responsiveness, and people like people who are like themselves or how they want to be. And I believe that I'm a positive role model for just about everybody. You know, I can't say everybody because I'm sure there's somebody out there that can argue this, but just about everybody, at least in the sales or business world. And that's why I've got to connect with so many people. And that's what I wanted to be. And I remember when I was young and really struggling in my life, I was finishing up school, felt really lost. I met a girl that completely changed my world. And I dated her for like 4 years. She worked in the White House with Bill Clinton, not Monica Lewinsky. People always ask.
I was gonna say.
She's really high up. And I respected her so much. And I was so infatuated with her. Just, I was madly in love with her, and we dated for a long time, and she changed so much in my life. But she said things to me that were so impactful. And I often will tell people this in my events. I say, if Warren Buffett came up to you and gave you some financial advice, you would take it. If a bum on the street came up to you and gave you the same exact word for word financial advice, you would not take it. Not because of the advice, because of who they are to you. And when she said I could do more in my life, I believed it because of who she was. And I thought to myself, and as I went down this coaching world, into this coaching world, I want to be that for somebody else. Not because of what I say, because of who I am. And the fact is, I could say these things and I could have every positive intent, and somebody might not like me, or they might not get it, or they might take it the wrong way. Again, that has nothing to do with me. And I could always become more skilled, and we work on this like crazy, but I'm pretty skilled at this point where I think, like, even if I do see somebody that's the most resistant, I want to lean into that even more because I'm going to learn something. Like, I cannot lose. I cannot fail. Like, I'm always going to, like, something's good. And even if it's bad, like if I hop on a sales call and it's like a shitty sales call, it's awesome. Like, if somebody's a really good salesperson, I love a good salesperson. I'm gonna be like, ooh, that was good. I'm going to use that. Or if it's really bad, I'm going to be like, man, that was dumb. And then I'm going to use that in my content. Hey, I just hopped on a sales call and here's what the person said. Like, everything serves me. Or I might get triggered, like, shit, I've done that same dumb thing too. Like, I can't be doing that. Is that what I sound like? Like, there's no way that you can lose. And if you believe there's no way that you can lose, even when it seems like you're losing, like, you can't fail. Just understand that's part of the process. And I think that will remove some of the unattachment, or the attachment to the call. We call it HILA, HILA, high intention, low attachment. High intention, low attachment. High intention towards your outcome, to your life, to your sense of being, your identity, your purpose. Low attachment to this moment, and giving space for what's going to show up organically and being okay with it.
Brother, thank you so much, man. Like I said, this was so much more than we expected from you. We can tell you love this stuff. You are it, you live it. Yeah. And I hope everyone feels that from Eli. I'm sure you all do. I can't see everybody's faces, but he's embodying what we're talking about. If you show up to calls, your sales calls, if you embody these principles, if you get into the right state, if you can master this flow state and get into it, everything else becomes easier. Everything else becomes smoother. The connections become deeper. And it's more fulfilling because you don't feel like you have this cognitive dissonance where you're pretending to be something that you're actually not. So, man, Eli, just big thank you. And I'm sure everybody here is going to send me tons of messages after, and thank you. If you guys want to connect with Eli, he is on Instagram at Eli Wilde _sales. That's correct, right, Eli?
Yes, that's me.
That's it. Obviously, you see his shirt there, Wild Influence. He's got tons of great stuff. Yep. And yeah, guys, give him a big thank you. I know I get more questions. I'll try to get some more time with Eli and continue to share them with you guys. So, Eli, thanks again, brother. Appreciate you.
Much love, guys. Thanks so much, Sean. Take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Absolutely. Guys, don't go anywhere. We've got some prizes to give out from yesterday. We have a new contest for you guys. And as we're going through, we just kind of covered yesterday. I told you we were going to dive into, obviously, this flow selling. He just talked all about the F part of flow selling, which is laying the foundation, right? Getting the rapport, building the trust, coming from a place of the state that you need to be in prior to getting onto your calls. There's so much more that I want to go into on the F part of flow selling, but for the sake of time, we are not going to, because we said we were going to go for an hour. We got 5 more minutes. I want to be true to that. However, drop the word flow if you want an opportunity to access the entire flow selling course. If you guys want that, I will make it available for those who do want it. It does cost money. However, for those who might be interested, we'll play a little contest, have a little contest, and I will give away a flow selling course to the person who, here's the contest, guys. Every Wednesday morning, I don't know if you guys know this, but every Wednesday morning, I lead sales flow calls. So our whole sales flow transformation community is there, plus a whole bunch of other people from all kinds of different offers. Some are in sales, some are trying to get in sales, some are top performers. And we go deep into a lot of these concepts, the flow selling approach, flow itself. And so the contest is this. Somebody from the team will drop right now in the chat a link to Sales Flow Transformation Daily Sales Calls. You see it dropped right there. Thank you, Harlan. That is a registration page. Whoever can bring the most people to the Wednesday flow call tomorrow will get my entire flow selling course for free. So all you got to do is send that link to your sales friends, your people who you think might benefit from that type of stuff, or anybody who just wants to come hang out and see what it's all about. And send that invitation, register for yourself, and whoever brings the most people tomorrow it's tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific. It's only 30 minutes. If you can make the time to do that and you invite people, I will give you access to my entire flow selling course. Does that sound good? Thumbs up from you guys? Sound good? Awesome. Awesome. Clear instructions there. Also, being that we didn't get to dive deep into, obviously we went super deep into laying the foundation, building trust. And there's a couple other points that I want to touch on specifically in this flow selling approach. I will go over the F part of flow selling tomorrow on the Wednesday call. So if you guys come to that in the morning, I'll break this whole section down, how to set the table, how to build pre-call trust points, an approach called EBS that we talk about, ways that you can prevent objections even deeper beyond what, building on some of the stuff that Eli talked about. So register for that call tomorrow. We will see you guys there. And lastly, inside of school yesterday, we were talking about eliminating distractions, how you got to be in complete concentration to be in flow. And I put a post in the school community. I know several of you got into the school community. I put a post inside of there that's regarding the screen time contest. I see a few people drop their screenshots from today. If yesterday you participated in that, you took a screenshot, you posted it up, and you stayed off your phone. Maybe you stayed off it the whole time. Maybe you went from 5 hours down to 2 hours. Any progress is good, but we are going to give away a calendar audit to the person who had the least amount of screen time. So if you take a screenshot and you've got low screen time, post it up, and we'll get you, and we'll set up a call where we can dive deep into your calendar and help set you up for flow. Does that sound good? You guys like that? Amazing. Amazing. Guys, we got a couple more minutes here. As we're wrapping up, is there any questions that you guys have about something we discussed? What the expectations for the rest of the week are, ways that you could tap in or plug in to us? I know several of you mentioned mentor. If you're looking for mentorship, if you're looking for support, hey, Santino, you want to come off mute real quick and share a little bit about your experience inside of sales flow transformation? Santino decided to make the jump. He was wanting to be on an offer. I told him, hey, I don't just hand out job opportunities, but if you keep coming around, we get to build a relationship, just like Eli was talking about, and I get to know you and find a match fit for you. So Santino, can you talk a little bit about your experience joining sales flow transformation and what you're doing now?
Yeah, sure thing. I'll keep it brief because I actually got a call at 5. But basically, it was, came into a lot of. I was in my head a lot and going through a transition period, and I needed structure and discipline, and I was getting bombarded with the same thing that Sean talks about all the time. Here's another script. Here's another objection handling scenario. Here's another tactic. But the realization that I was slowly coming to, and which Sean mentions all the time, especially in his ads, that caught my attention, is like the biggest point of leverage is always going to be you. And I was like, this is exactly right. This is the part of the sales training that I went through that they never taught about, like how to handle those internal things and being okay with certain things. If you feel a certain way about the money or the offer, that's going to come off in the sales calls. What is all this level of mastery? And I think it was Sheila who said it in the course as well, that salespeople are the number one consumers of self-help content. I was like, wow, that is so, so true. But just to reiterate what the course is about in general, it just restructures everything from a ground level. So where you are doing internal audits and from what you're spending your time from on your phone to the actual calendar, all these little minute things are chipping away, as Sean says, peeling back the layer of the onion to get deeper to you and your why and everything about you that's making you tick. And I'm sure when I come back and look at this month's time, it's going to be completely different. Like I know some other people in the sales flow transformation program are in there currently. So this is just a fractal process and I'm going through it and I'm loving the energy. Environment is stronger than will. I'm showing up and doing what I need to. It's not perfect, but I'm chipping away slowly but surely and things are slowly clicking and I'm living on the edge, which is huge as we talked about this morning. So super grateful for this, super grateful for everything that Sean's putting together. Truly feels it in his bones and we can all feel this. And yes, absolutely a no-brainer, truly.
And on top of that, Santino, I connected him with a match fit opportunity, and he's a top performer on his new sales team, absolutely crushing it. So you can't script the opportunities that come up, but like Santino said, environment is stronger than will. So if you were one of those people who put mentor, thanks Santino for sharing that. If you were one of those people who put mentor in the chat, if you want to be in an environment like this on a daily basis to help get you into a flow state, master the things that aren't necessarily what everybody out there is talking about, the way to handle this objection or that objection, but really doing the deep work that will allow you to transcend having success in anything that you do. Book a call with me or someone on my team, our sales flow coaches. Guys, you know how we sell. We're not going to twist your arm. We're not going to, shake you upside down by your pockets. But to Eli's point, we will challenge you and we will coach you where we see fit. Where we feel like we need to change. And Santino and I have had some pretty direct talks and direct coaching moments, and he's taken it, he's ran with it, and he's absolutely crushing it. There's some other people in here who've had that experience, but go ahead. There's a link right there in the chat. Book a call with me or one of our sales flow coaches, Tim or Sheila, and we'll tell you a little bit more about the program, what the whole curriculum looks like, and how you can speed up where you're trying to get to. Any questions, y'all? All right, tomorrow we are going to go deep with Brady McCarty. Brady, like I mentioned, is one of the best salespeople in the world. Him and Eli have a good relationship as well. We're going to dive into more of these same concepts. We're going to talk about the L part, the love and hate, getting into the heart, how to do that. So you don't end up like a bull in a china shop, or you get the rejection and people not letting you in, giving you those one-word answers. We're going to go deep on how to eliminate all of that, have a ton of fun. So I will see you guys tomorrow. And again, contest, the link for the daily sales flow call is in the chat. Somebody can drop it again for us, so it comes up here at the bottom. Whoever invites the most people will get access to the flow selling course completely free. Guys, this was so much fun. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for the engagement. Thank you for wanting to invest in yourself. Environment truly is stronger than will, and it's people like you that make this environment happen and the growth happen for guys like Santino and Bethany and Sheila and Tim and Tawana and Brian and all these people who have joined the Sales Flow Transformation Program. So thank you all. It's been fun. I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.